Hello again, everyone. Welcome to 90s to Now. Once again, I am Jerry Strauss, and we have an interview for you this time out that you guys are going to find another one in a line of great throwbacks because we are looking at Friday night, January 26th. It's the Throwback Block Party, Carteret, New Jersey, the Carteret PAC, the Performing Arts Center. It's going to be one of the biggest shows the area has seen in a long, long time. And this man you're seeing on the screen is one of the big reasons why. From the Grammy Award winning Naughty by Nature, he is Treach. He is here and he is here early. We are.
Oh, really?
How are you, man?
Great, great, great. Yes, yes, yes. At the top of the AM, man, letting them know, man, the naughty 90s is coming.
Absolutely, absolutely. I got to ask you because look, we've known you for so long now, and we've seen your videos, we've seen the shows, we've been to your shows. Hopefully, a lot of us, and we know that you are always in tip-top physical condition. What is your routine like these days? How long have you been right now? Let's break the fourth wall. It's 8:15 a.m. right now. How long have you been awake?
I've been awake for about an hour and a half.
Okay. Okay. Is
Yeah.
that and like what are you, because I have to believe back in the day you were going hard as far as your physical routine. Is this still a big part of your life every day or
Yeah, well, back in the days, we was partying like rock stars, really.
oh,
It's just doing a few push-ups and hitting the gym and now and then, but we 33, 3 decades later, you gotta really know you can't party like you're 20 years old no more. You gotta
yeah.
keep it. So I switched up the diet through the years, like no beef, no pork, started doing a whole lot of less drinking, less
Mhm.
smoking, you know what I mean? And still having fun, but knowing your body is different. And when you're doing like anywhere from a half hour to an hour and a half shows,
Mm.
and you spitting them lyrics all show, you got to really have that cardiovascular in order.
Yeah. I can imagine. I'm exhausted just hearing you talk about it. Now listen, we're coming back to Carteret. This is an all-star lineup. We got Kid
Mhm.
and Play, we've got you, we've got Lisa who go to the YouTube channel, go to our Facebook group because we spoke to her as well. If you want to hear from Lisa, we've got Tone Loc, we've got Sugar Ray's Mark McGrath. Awesome lineup. What's it like for you to know that you've got a show coming up back in Jersey? Because there's always been that special relationship between your home state and you. Is there
Yeah,
still like a different atmosphere when you hit a stage in Jersey?
definitely, definitely. I travel so much, like out of the state, of course. And when you do go in the states, it's going to be a while till you come back because, just naturally to promote and everything else and to get from one spot to the other, it's like you just can't be there all the time and nobody will show up. They're like, oh, we always see him. So definitely when you come back there, all the family calls you up. Yo, we coming to the show, or either we rolling with you to the show. So I'm like, get ready, let's go. We back up in here and we gonna knock it out. So it's definitely like a family reunion for
Yeah,
sure.
awesome. Uh, I want to go back to the beginnings of when we first got to know you. Of course, Naughty by Nature. I'm looking back because I remember the days of when the self-titled Naughty by Nature album came out. Of course, OPP, and then the follow-up was huge. Two of the biggest albums, really in all of music history. I mean, as far as just the impact on pop culture and hip hop culture. Is it hard in a way mentally? What's the journey been like to score those 2 huge home runs, your first game in the majors, and then to have to kind of look toward the future? Did you feel like you always had to try to top that? Is that something you've been chasing? Or has that been something that's weighed on you as you moved on throughout your career?
Nah, it's been a challenge, but it's been a great challenge. You know what I mean? We're in a competitive sport. Always when you came out, they always, especially hip hop, there's like, all right, do they got the one hit jinx? Are they one hit wonders? Can they
Right.
do it again? So the great thing, just on the first album alone, we broke the one hit wonder because we had Juice that was on this Uptown Anthem that was on the Juice soundtrack,
Mm,
followed up with Everything's Gonna Be All Right. And we had different collabs back in the days and everything else. All of those was hits. So the other thing we had, the obstacle we had to cross, was the second album. They like, okay, they got to follow it with OPP. Impossible. Then we made Hip Hop Array, and that was a bigger record than OPP 3-4 times over. So
mm,
they was like, oh, these guys really know what they doing. When they get in that studio, they make them hits, the Feel Me flows, the Written on Your Kitten. So we just kept hitting them. It's on. All the records we dropped, they was like, these boys right here, excuse me, got it. So that was never a problem. The best thing about it too, man, we really, like, you can't foresee your audience when you come out, especially the pop version of
yeah,
our audience. So we never knew nothing about that, anything. We always thought we definitely gonna have some street bangers. You know what I mean? The urban hoods all over the world gonna love our music. But then when we came out and the records crossed over, it was like just being able to have both of those crowds in the same arenas. We was like, this is bigger than music. We're actually meshing the whole world together
mm,
through the music. Like, this is phenomenal. It's something that we could never ever see, but we really knew. We was like, we always heard back in the days, like, oh, that rap stuff, it's only gonna be around for another couple of years, another 5 years, and it's gonna be gone. When we saw that, I was like, yo, hip hop ain't never going nowhere.
yeah,
Ever.
yeah.
We doing arenas worldwide, not just in the States. So yeah, that was
Yeah. You look back at the past year, 50 years of hip hop, and how there were so many different shows and different tributes on TV and documentaries and just lots of things celebrating a lot of different aspects of those who made their mark. And you guys were, of course, a part of that. Do you feel like this past year kind of shined a new light on exactly your part in what helped to grow hip hop and make it into, like you said, this thing that's never going to go away because you had that unique lane that you guys drove in to do that? But do you feel like now, after this past year, like there's a little more attention to you, Naughty by Nature, and what you guys have done?
Yeah, definitely to us, but really to the culture as a whole. Like, a lot of artists that came over the past maybe 15 years, they look like, well, hip hop starts right here, right where we started. You know what I mean? It really gave a big light on, from not only us in the 90s, but from the 70s, when, you know, the origins, the originals came out with it. It gives a whole different outlook even to the younger hip hop generation, because now I hear them sampling, some of the original records and making songs off of it and bringing that sound of the culture that was kind of missing for some years,
Mm,
is bringing it back. The whole sample concept to hip hop, and giving homage to the legends that came before us. So that to me is just amazing. A few artists I've never ever been on stage with in my life. You know what I
mm,
mean? So through the 50th anniversary of so many shows that meshed the eras together. And for me, it was like more than just doing a show. It was like I was back, like the ultimate fan. Like, I can't believe I'm here performing. And they was looking at me like, we fans of yours. I'm like, oh my God, this got to be a dream right here. So just showing a whole culture, from not only, and when we say the 50th year of hip hop, our younger artists that's out now, they are part of that. You
yeah,
feel me? They made it stretch to be 50 years. So even the younger groups and acts that's out there, we doing shows with them now as well, because they're meshing all the audiences together. So it's just taking hip hop to that another level, where we know it's going to be another 1,000 years of hip hop. You feel
yeah.
me?
Yeah. Is there anyone who you were able to share a stage with or just share a show with over the last year, like you said, that maybe either you hadn't seen them in a long time or maybe you never got to be in the same building when they performed that really
Yeah,
made an impact on you?
yeah. LL Cool J.
Yeah. You've
LL Cool
never
J.
been on a show with him before this year?
Never. Not one
Wow.
time. Not one time. ever, not one time. Like, and he was one of my favorites when I started. Like, I had to get myself out of sounding like him. Cause back then if you sounded like anybody, you couldn't go nowhere. They'd be like, oh no, you biting, it ain't original. So I had to morph into my own style, and he was one of the ones. And this past Rock the Bells, when Queen Latifah brought us on stage, that was the first time I ever performed on with him. And then it was after that, it was more shows that went on. So I actually got to perform on the same stage with him and actually see his show live for the first time this past year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Unbelievable. Um,
unbelievable.
you mentioned something earlier about hip hop as a competitive sport. Um, and I know that you've talked about this in different interviews. A lot of people have talked about this in different interviews. Eminem has come out in various interviews and talked about your influence on him and how hearing you do what you do almost made him quit music because he felt like he would never be able to reach the level of what you were doing. And to me, that's the ultimate sign that you treat this thing as a competitive sport, right? Like
Mhm.
he didn't want to do it unless he felt like he could be at the top potentially.
Exactly.
Is that was that your mindset as well early in your
Definitely.
career?
Definitely. Because we knew, like, if you, for one, you definitely wanted to be accepted by your fellow hip hop artists. You know what I mean? Because, we were from the real era of one of your favorites will come out and actually dish you on a record if they felt like you was whack
Mhm,
or you wasn't standing up to what you supposed to been in this sport and treating it like a sport and respecting it and doing it. So and we come from the era too of giving homage to the ones that came before us, knowing that we got our whole hip hop flows from somebody. We just had to make sure when we came out, we mastered our own style and put our own mark up in there. So, and man, I always take my hats off to him too, because he's a student of hip hop. You know what I mean? He really studied it. He knows more about hip hop than a lot of people that's been in hip hop for 50 years. You know what I mean? He really knows styles, he knows cadences, he knows lyric, he know how important it is not to just be on a record for the sake of rhyming some words, but really putting it together where you making history while you're doing it.
mhm. Yeah. Um, I I want to switch gears just for a second because this is pretty amazing. I can't think of anyone who has kept and held down a schedule and a career like yours as of late because you've not only been, going all over the place and touring and performing on stages music, but you've also been doing New Jack City. There's a live stage version of New Jack City where
Mm-hmm.
you're one of the stars of the show. So this whole time period you've been mixing the acting and performing music and just going all over the place. What's that like? Like just going, one night you're doing a dramatic performance and the next night it's music. Is
Mm-hmm.
that difficult to switch gears back and forth?
No, not when you like the hardest part for me was just starting as an actor, because acting is people got natural talent there and everything else, but it's an art to that.
Yeah.
And with hip hop, for me, I grew up off of that, so to me it came easy. It was like me getting into it, starting to write, perform, do talent shows. That was natural. I never was trained as an actor. You know what I mean? I had to study it from each and every project that I got moving on. And theater is a whole different beast, because it's not no take ones, take twos, take threes. You up there for 2.5 hours, and it's like if you make a mistake, you can't let nobody know. But it's like anything else, you gotta study it. You gotta know your lines. You know what I mean? When it's rehearsal time, I'm there early. You know what I mean? I'm hitting all my spots and making it where it's just a comfortable engine that's running with all the other actors that's involved. So when you there and you're on point, everybody else steps up and they're on point. You feel me? And everybody uh, feels the energy when we're out there helping each other and covering for each other. If anybody does slip up, nobody would know it but us. The crowd hasn't, we don't miss a beat. So, and everybody always, I always heard everyone say in the acting game how many started off through theater, and how much once you do theater, then when you do any acting or any films, it sharpens your sword. You know what I
Mm,
mean? It makes you that much more better. So I always really wanted to do theater, and for the grace of God and my homie Alan Payne that's on there with me, that put my name up into the mix when they was looking for a character for Nino Brown. It just, it really took me to a whole different level as far as my acting skills and everything.
mm, mm. You know, this is going to be the most random question I ask, but we had Erica Alexander on the show a while back from Living Single, and
Hmm.
we took questions from fans about all aspects of that show. And one of the most common questions we got, there was the episode, of course, where Naughty by Nature guest stars, and Tretch, you whisper something in Max's ear that was so dirty that it even put her off momentarily, and she had to say no to it. And the fans, all these years later, wanted to know what the hell did Tretch say in her ear. And she, I wish I had the quote up. She had her own speculation, but she wasn't exactly sure what that line should have been or was supposed to be. Do you have any thoughts or memories of that?
She would probably know best, because I we did different takes, and each time I said different things that were very, very naughty. It was very, very naughty. You feel me? And I had to get it, because I didn't want to say the same thing, and then she'll have like a look like, oh, I done heard that before. So every time I said something, she was just like,
You got her.
but she would know. She would know. She would know. She would know.
All right, that secret's out there somewhere. Somebody's
Yeah.
not saying the whole, giving us the whole story. I, one more question for you, and thank you so much again for your time. I know it's a busy week. I know we're headed toward Carteret on Friday.
Mhm.
We spoke with Lisa. Lisa, she's going to be on the show with you guys Friday night, Carteret Performing Arts Center.
Mhm.
We talked about how her music is, it's music that stood the test of time. And I made the reference to Motown when I spoke to her, and I'll make that with you as well. There's certain music out there that people who lived through, when it was out, and when it came out, and in eras afterwards, just continue to gravitate towards. And it's just music that makes them feel a certain way, whether it's the way they felt when they first heard it or the way it continues to make them feel. It's timeless. And I would put your music, a lot of your hits, in that category as well. It's what people gravitate to. It's why people are so excited to see you on Friday night and every time that you're performing. Were you aware of that? Like, in addition to everything else we talked about, as far as trying to make just the greatest stuff possible, were you aware of looking to make music that would be timeless?
Uh, I think everybody does. You want your music to get played forever, but until it comes out and the people hear it, because the people let it be known like that. And I always say, especially like my mother was one who I first heard hip hop from. She had bought the Sugar Hill Gang
Mhm.
album records and anything else and played it at home. I'm like, whoa, this is something different. I always say music has to be timeless. If you have great, I tell everybody, if they like, yo, I'm half your age, but I know your music. I'm like, great parenting. Your parents, you heard it, you had to hear it in a household, and they said, I did. My mother, my father. So for us, our parents used to listen to this and as well. You know what I mean? It wasn't like it was a separate generation on that. The music that they listened to was the beginning of hip hop, the beginning of the dance, the Lisa era, the Mark McGrath's. Like, it was like we all listened to that. So once that came in, it sieved through everything, and we just happen to come from an era that was after disco and all of that, where more the music was party based.
Mhm.
So like Lisa, she'll have a love song that's basically you could bob and dance to, and you like, I never felt like this off music. It's either slow for love, or if it's another type of song that's conceptual, it's a different type of tempo. But when it's an up tempo and you could dance to it and cry to certain records, or want to make love off of certain records, it's like, yo, this is a whole different era of sound. So it treats your body different, and that music you remember when you was a child, and it'll go from time to time to time to time, different eras, and it's still, if it get played in the club, even young folks would be like, certain stuff we play for the new jazz, they'd be like, that's an old record. I thought it was new.
Mhm.
So I think that's timeless records where it's like it could blend into any generation.
Yeah, definitely. And I think every generation within traveling distance of a show like this Friday, Carteret is going to be wanting to head over there. Of course, once again, it's Carteret Performing Arts Center this
Mhm.
Friday, January 26th. It's you hitting the stage. It's Kid and Play, Tone Loc, Lisa, Mark McGrath from Sugar Ray. It's going to be just an amazing all-star night, and I can't wait to see it. I can't wait for everyone to pack the place and enjoy it. And obviously, you're coming back to Jersey again, so it's
Yeah.
automatically a highlight. So
And all these legends here I performed with before many a time, so I could tell you it's gonna be rocking.
absolutely. Hey, and thank you again for taking the time. As part of your busy morning, I was happy to get out of bed to talk to you this morning. So
No problem.
thank you so much. And thank you guys for checking us out here on 90s to Now. Make sure you share, subscribe, like, do all the things you do to keep us growing. And we'll see you next time. And we'll see you this Friday in Carteret. Thank you so much, Treach.
Please, no doubt. Appreciate you. Thanks for having me.